I'll give you a second to get your bearings after that one. That one was pretty terrifying. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I was on vacation, but now I am back in my cement wasteland that I call home. It's pretty great. It's awesome. What are we doing today? Today I'm going to be reading bad reviews of my favorite movies, and you may be wondering, Key, why would you do that? This is actually one of my favorite hobbies. Because, well, to be fair, the movies that I enjoy are of varying quality, pretty widely varying quality. And analyzing media that I love with a critical eye is just one of my favorite things to do, ever. Also, my brain kind of automatically does it, so I don't really have a choice, but it's fun, I promise. I'm having fun. Honestly, I love doing this, but also I very rarely get angry, and definitely not on my own behalf. So if you do, and if you vehemently defend movies that you enjoy, this is probably not the pastime for you. However, it does scratch the same itch as like being righteously angry about something online. I have to say my favorite bad reviews are the ones that just say what the movie is without saying why that's bad. Like, people will comment under Hellraiser, weirdly gory and horny. Yeah, man? Yeah? Did you figure that one out for yourself? Did you sleuth it? That was kind of mean. Anyway, let's get into it. Getting on my letterboxd. Letterboxed, it's in the past tense, I always forget that. You can follow me if you want, I guess. I'm called Rat Bastard Key on there. There's an underscore in between each word, and they're all capitalized. It's my title. I mostly just make lists. I don't review stuff that much. I mostly make lists. Alright, we are starting off strong with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I have no particular feelings about this movie whatsoever. Just kidding, obviously. I love it, but it's not what I would call a good movie. I'm in a shadowcast, which is basically a club that memorizes the movie for fun, so I know precisely how bad the continuity is because we have to try to work around it every year. I love hearing people's comments about how bad it is, because, like, you're right, but also, it's iconic. Let's see, Susie's one hater says, worst movie ever, you could not strap me down and force me to watch this BS. Well, don't worry, Susie, or Susie's hater. What did Susie do? Don't worry, Susie's hater. There are plenty of people who would love to be strapped down and forced to watch this movie. Zoe's, whatever, Zoe. The exact reason why musicals and scary movies should never ever be mixed. Okay. I would not call this a scary movie. If you don't know what it is, you should give it a try. It's a lot of fun. But it's like a pastiche on 1960s horror movies, so it was never meant to be scary. I mean, some of the scenes are kind of intimidating, but not like you're gonna piss yourself. Okay, these are the ones that I like, the ones that are Shakespearean, the ones that are like an essay. Yellow Alex YXD says, people always said to me, you need to watch this movie, it is a classic. But you know what? I can honestly say on this day, every movie in my life people said were classics are never worth the hype. There, I said it. Fair enough. I mean, a lot of classic movies aren't worth the hype. Also, why this title? Because it's a picture show about the Rocky Horror. That's him. The lyrics of the songs were repetitive and awful. Do you know what choruses and songs are? I promise I'm not trying to roast you. Do you know what choruses and, like, motifs and songs are? That's fine if you don't. The characters were boring. There's a lot I could say about the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I wouldn't call it boring. Also, cheating. Yeah. Sorry. Also, no intellectual properties in this movie whatsoever. Only lust. Long-ass, boring movies for me with a plot written by a horny person high as a kite. Now that is correct, and his name is Richard O'Brien. Not a great guy, but he does feature in a lot of my interests, so what are you gonna do? Oh, brief and to the point. AT with no tears left to cry, burn it. It's bad, but it's not that bad. Moloch Mulch says, I really hate musicals, and this one was no exception whatsoever. Please quit harassing me with musicals. They all suck. Why did you watch a musical then? I see these comments under a lot of, like, musicals that I enjoy. There's like half a star and it says, was a musical. I don't know. I feel like you can take some some accountability for the things that you choose to watch and spend your time watching. Hell yeah, this is the one I'm looking for. And Loki says, I hate these fucking freaks. Hell yeah, in Loki, me too. Ooh, and we've got Kai Estrella Kowal. Anyone who creates an RPS shadowcast and actively wants to play Frank is already fucked in the head. I mean, but have you seen Frank? Like, Frank is the show. Too Few Character writes just as awful as ever. Who's making you keep watching this? Do you need help, Too Few Character? Or is this like a Clockwork Orange situation? From Lizzie, yeah, what the fuck? Not in a queer-phobic way, in an I'm queer and what the fuck was this way. Okay. I'm holding back a rant. There's this idea of queer representation of having to be good, otherwise it is always doing harm to the community. And let me tell you that there are movies that were made by queer people that I would call homophobic. To an extent, I would call the Rocky Horror Picture Show homophobic and transphobic. But the reclamation of that and the subversion of that is what makes it so well loved. Even though it was made by a queer person, there are certain elements that are poking fun at people who really shouldn't be punched down upon. I don't know. I think that like the reclamation and subversion of things like that comes with the caveat of like, yeah, every once in a while you're gonna hear something that you don't quite like at a Rocky Horror Shadowcast, and that's fine. When they made the Rocky Horror Picture Show, they weren't exactly thinking of all the representation. They were thinking of how much they could get away with, and how many times they could flash Little Nell's nipples. And I think that that's beautiful, actually. I love when they keep it brief. Ready Player 145 says, would be cool if someone shot me in the head with a laser capable of emitting a beam of pure antimatter. Why don't we move on? Next, I am going to Ravenous. Came out in 1999, and it's directed by Antonia Bird. If you don't know who she is, she's a great director. I really like what she does. Now, I'm a lesbian, but I do appreciate the sheer dedication to showing Robert Carlyle's butt as much as she does. If you've never seen Ravenous, you should. It's great. But it is a historical cannibal horror about why you should be gay instead of a colonizer. Genuinely a great film that critiques the military, masculinity, America, colonialism, industrialism, Manifest Destiny. It's really good. You gotta get past all the cannibal stuff. If you can handle cannibal horror, please watch it. And if you think Robert Carlyle's hot, definitely watch it. You're welcome. I am already predicting comments about the music. Because it's weird. I actually love the score so much. A lot of people don't. I think that the little sting leading up to the cave is fucking phenomenal. And there's like this goofy frontier chase music as men are being hunted down like animals. And I think that it's great, especially because like if we saw like pioneers hunting down animals in another movie that was maybe glorifying Manifest Destiny, we would have maybe this goofy frontier chase music and like all victorious when they hunt down these animals, but it's not so funny when it's your own people, is it? Theo, wish I could rate negative stats on Letterboxd. You can't. All over the place. Did you want to be comedy or serious? The only likable character, Ted, was the villain. Who is Ted? I'm racking my brain. There is no Ted in this movie. I'm gonna assume that it was a typo, but for the life of me, I can't figure out what he was trying to say. Also, some of the lines in this made me think it was Mad-libbed, and please don't even get me started about the music. There it is. Okay. Yuck! It put me right off my dinner. I'm sorry, Mukherjee, that it put you right off your dinner. This is reminiscent of when I watched The Fly, 1986, for the first time, and I was eating pizza while I watched it. It actually wasn't that bad. I wasn't that grossed out by it, but the person watching it with me was, and they stopped eating pizza shortly after the movie started. Andrew Thomas says, what the fuck, I love it, they just filmed some cosplayers on a hike. You know what? I love it too. Okay, our quals, I think that we need to check on our quals, actually. I don't know what this is. I cannot parse it. Why was this made? What did it have to say? There's nothing here to grasp. What is the story? Did the movie ever start? The stars for the soundtrack, which is incredible and sounds like a great classic point-and-click adventure game. I agree. I can't imagine how to rate this otherwise. There's no framework. This is amorphous. Time has ended. Yeah, the framework of the movie is pretty weird, and I think that that's also because Antonia Bird, as a director, tends to make less approachable movies than people are used to. Anyway, somebody check on our quals, make sure that they're okay. Jessica says, almost dethrones The Room as one of my least favorite films of all time. What a story, Jessica. This is a good one to end on. Emma Trix says, menus fighting as foreplay for eating each other. That is the plot, and it ends in possibly, like, the gayest Tumblr art pose I can possibly imagine. Again, I don't want to ruin it for you if you haven't seen the movie, but wow, that ending is... it sure is something. I hesitate to call this film queer-coded because, like, the coding goes so far and it was very, very much intentional. I would just go ahead and consider this a queer movie. I think that it's really great, and I think that the queerness that it is emulating is very good. It's a good movie. Actually, wait, no, I said that was the last one. One more. A Film Snob says, this gorefest didn't make me hungry. Speak for yourself. Not to disappoint, but we're moving a little bit away from cannibalism now because we are moving on to The Labyrinth. Labyrinth is one of my favorite movies. I like it a whole lot. I love the Jim Henson Creature Studio. I love puppets. I love puppets. One of my friends showed this to me on VHS when we were about 7 years of age, and it stuck in my mind so strongly. It was just a hoot and a half, let me tell you. I was so changed by fantasy synth scores in a way that I cannot describe. This was my introduction to David Bowie, by the way, which is shocking because my parents are, like, classic rock lovers and, like, prided themselves on introducing me to good music, but this was my big intro to David Bowie. It was just phenomenal, obviously. I actually once made a PowerPoint defending this movie to my dad, just for him to give it a resounding nuh-uh. Anyway, who needs his approval? Not me. That was a joke. I love my parents very much, and I'm their favorite child. Anyway, I can't wait for 1 million. It's creepy that they made an adult like a young girl. Comments. You found the subtext of the film. Okay, G. Steve. Starting off strong with G. Steve. Awful. I don't know what I was thinking giving this a full star, let alone multiple. This is undoubtedly the worst film ever made, and arguably the worst thing to ever happen to humanity as a whole. Absolutely vile, disgusting, terrible movie. Tell us how you really feel, G. The movie Labyrinth. The worst thing to happen to humanity as a whole? I don't know where you've been living, but I can think of a few worse things going on right now. No, I lost it. Oh, no. Oh, come back. I like holding my microphone now. It makes me feel like a villain who's like swirling a glass of wine in their hand. Elsa1234, something about this made me feel icky. It's the subtext about getting attention from an older man when you're a girl. A young girl, specifically. Oh god, okay. Alexander, with no vowels except the A, watched this because my wife was interested in it. We both regretted it so much. This was utterly awful and disgusting. Nightmare. I fucking hate with passion those 80s looking same-face syndrome monsters, goblins, farting, stinking gremlins, whatever you want to call them. I am so glad I never watched this as a kid. It's such a fucked up movie for a kid, with Bowie's bulge in your face and that privileged, spoiled little rich brat minor girl. What the fuck? Why does this exist? Nightmare. I wish I could erase this from my mind. My brother might be the #1 Primer hater, but I think I just became the #1 Labyrinth hater. Okay, well, I'm glad for you and your brother that you can both be certified haters in this time of strife. You are correct, by the way. This is kind of a fucked up movie for a kid, but it's also really fun. Val Cutie asks, what was David Bowie supposed to be doing here? David Bowie was supposed to be there to be a little creepy, a little disturbing, a little alluring, a little sexy. Maybe you think that you would want this guy's attention, but then when it comes down to it, you realize, no, this is not something that I want. Kind of weird and creepy and off-putting, and he was also supposed to sing and serve face, and I think he did all of those things very well. Lucy says, I did not enjoy a single minute of this movie. Also, why was David Bowie wearing leggings? I can tell you, it was for me. Enamored with the grammar of this one. Emmy Dorman, visual psychedelics for children. Grew up on this movie and did not like. Thumbs down emoji, thumbs down emoji, thumbs down emoji. I still hate it. To watch is to immerse yourself in a bad dream, is what I think. That pause is amazing. It serves. Max Carlum has an important addition to the conversation, which is, oh man, oh god, oh man, oh god. I'm sorry, Max. I hope you're okay. Sir Orangutan says, nightmarish ghouls and goblins that filled me with intense fear, also David Bowie. Thank you for specifying that David Bowie was not one of the ghouls or goblins that filled you with intense fear, even though he is the Goblin King. I don't know if he's actually a goblin, or if the goblins are just his subjects and that's why he's the Goblin King. Is he considered exceptionally beautiful among goblins, or is he considered exceptionally ugly because he doesn't look like most goblins? Really dinks the old dinker, huh? T asking the real questions with, first of all, what kind of psychopath names their teddy bear Lancelot? Very important question. And the answer is me. That is exactly something I would do. This is a good one to end off on. K Limo 8. Shit scared me for life. Man's bludge was in my nightmares for so long. I'm truly sorry, Clemo 8. His bludge was in a lot of people's dreams, both good and bad. Speaking of bad dreams, ooh baby, ooh it's fly time. You know what time it is? It's fly time, baby. It's fly time. These motherfuckers don't even know that it's fly time. The Fly 1986 remake. I've seen the original, and it's fine. It's pretty good. I prefer the remake. But I also really like David Cronenberg. If you like David Cronenberg, or tall women, or loser, sweaty men that eventually become insects, you will also like this movie. This movie owns bones. It's really gross. The practical effects are just incredible. And the soundtrack, I think the soundtrack is really underrated. It's like this orchestral, sweeping score that makes it feel almost like a kaiju movie at some parts. I'm anticipating a lot of comments about how it's gross. It's icky. I don't know what else they expected from my boy Dave. Also, I want this animatronic maggot baby so badly. I intend to give them a loving home and raise them alongside their sibling, and nothing bad ever happens to either of them. Motherfuckers be weed eating. Okay, great one from Duck so far. Ew, brother, recommend. Why did I get so guttural with that? Ew, brother, Recommending this to someone should be the equivalent of shooting them in the legs, then drowning them in cereal and milk. Terrible. Seth was a dumb idiot for someone who figured out teleportation. Like, who even does an experiment of this magnitude in a dirty apartment? It's a dirty warehouse. He's lucky. Well, he didn't turn into a cockroach or something worse. I think that Seth Brundle probably keeps that warehouse impeccably clean. But you are right. Don't drunk drive and don't drunk teleport. Will somebody please get this man his keys? Miles poses a very important question in any relationship. Would you love me if I was a fly? And then he answers it, no, absolutely not. At least you're honest with your future partner. And I think that that's admirable too. By the way, Gina Davis's answer is yes, she did still love him when he was a fly, but seeing his eyes melt out of his skull was probably a bit of a turnoff, I'm afraid. Wouldn't be for me. Oh my god. Oh no. Micah Smith won. Oh dear, are you okay? Strap in, I guess. What pathetic sick bastard wrote this crap? I have never wanted to vomit so hard watching a movie. If everything so bad in the world was a movie, it would be this. For 90 minutes, this felt like a grueling lifetime. Let me tell you why you shouldn't watch this movie, or watch any clips or trailers. It's so unbelievably disturbing, it's insane. In fact, stop reading the rest of this review. Okay. If there was a movie that could make anyone kill themselves, it would be this. I don't know, have you ever seen Crash? The straightest character in the film was a perverted guy. And that's not the worst part. I didn't think it could get worse until The Thing put its DNA into a woman. Didn't think anything above Alien 3 could top the disturbing level. The greasy-ass Thing puked acid, ripped body parts, and just did anything that your worst imagine couldn't think of. The film was so good at making me hate all the bad stuff in life. Oh no? It makes a really good comment on the dangers of science, sex, abortion, and freaking devil itself. Do not eat a tomato watching this. It seems that we had similar, if opposite, experiences, Micah Smith. Smythe? I hope I'm getting that right. Never wanted to scream more, never watching this crap again. My favorite movie-going experience was watching 2001: A Space Odyssey. My worst, this. Do the world a favor and don't watch this. Yeah, I would say 2001: A Space Odyssey and The Fly are pitched at not entirely different, but mostly different audiences. I hope Micah's okay. Okay, I respect the hell out of these reviews that are like Emily Rose 1302, that are just half a star. Not for me. So fair, Emily Rose. Okay, Eloy13 says, they made him ugly. They sure did. They made him very ugly, and I love it! Hayden accurately comments, Jeff, chill, you're scaring the hoes. He did, in fact, scare the hoes. Both of the hoes in this movie were very scared. In fact, one of the hoes tells the other hoe to be afraid. Be very afraid. It's kind of a big moment. I'm so sorry if it sounds like I'm being mean to these people who comment. I'm not. They provide me with so much endless entertainment. I'm so grateful to them for commenting their opinions. Allison Agana says, people need to stop rating this movie so high she literally fucks a fly. Yes, she does. A couple people do, actually. Oh no! ILP says, too scary, shut it off, it's too scary. And this was in 2021. I really hope that ILP figured out how to turn the movie off, and I hope they're doing okay. Dreamy Margot says, I watched this film when I was 13 with my best friend. We were in a bunk bed in a chalet in the middle of nowhere. Let me tell you, we both had nightmares. I'm so sorry, Margot. That sounds like the time that my mom watched Silence of the Lambs and then slept alone in a cabin in the middle of the woods that night. My mom already doesn't like watching horror movies. Kelly has some notes. Why was his name Seth Brundle? I don't know. Why was there so many sex scenes? Okay. There are 2 sex scenes. There's one scene where they're spooning after sex, but there are 2 on-screen sex scenes, and I don't think that that's like an insane amount.
Have you ever seen Crash?
Life is hell. What the fuck? Excellent question. Why did he look like that? Because fly. I hold no ill will towards you, sir. I'm just annoyed. Let's see, why does this have 4 stars? It's got 5 to me, Kelly. Why was there a whole abortion debate subplot? Maggot baby? Real talk though, pregnancy is often used as kind of like shorthand in body horror circles and like losing control of your own body. Wait, I love this one. Okay. Chloe says, ew, 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 what a horrible little fly man, ew. He is not a little fly man, he's a large fly man. Oh, yeah. Jay Heisenberg saying, once again, there was an insane amount of sex scenes in this movie. There were 2. Is it because you saw Seth Brundle's little butt? Is it because you saw Jeff Goldblum's ass? Okay, I've seen this one before. I love it. Ihanin says, that is not what a fly looks like. I'm beyond disgusted. Very fair. I wish that's what flies looked like. Aww. Speaking of body horror, I'm trans. Hedwig and the Angry Inch. This is the only one you may actually see me get heated on. This movie is super important to me. It cracked my egg. It's one of the only things that's really spoken to how important music is and how intensely I feel about art and music. Music is like religion in this movie. Like, all hope is pinned on it. I love it so much. I got it tattooed on me. Hang on, wait, I got the... That one's the more iconic one that you may have seen. It's the first tattoo I got. I love this movie. It means the world to me. That said, both the movie and its main character are the worst thing that anything can ever be in this day and age.
Problematic.
There's a lot of moral grays in this film. It was something that kind of shocked me out of my shell when I was in high school and I was trying to sort everything into blacks and whites. The thing that made me realize that there were some blended experiences out there. And the skill this movie has of making you relate to a character who is so provably and obviously not a good person, who is stuck in the cycle of abuse and perpetuating it for herself. Every time I get to show this to somebody for the first time, I kind of lose my shit and I'm sweating the whole time. I'm sweating. Okay. Let's get into it. LXTPizCom says, if you are here because of Michael Pitt. This is the first movie I actually ever saw Michael Pitt in. And I think that that's kind of funny. Like, if you're attracted to men, I'm not sure what appeal you find in Michael Pitt in this movie, because his character is probably an egg. His character is probably a woman. Morgan Montgomery, thanks, I hate it, stupid wig. It's a great wig. Ash says, I can't tell if I enjoyed this or not, but The Origin of Love was beautiful. It is beautiful. It's a really beautiful song, and I'm glad that you got something out of the experience, even if you didn't enjoy the whole thing. Sarah Stumpf says, one of my least favorite movies of all time. A thoroughly unlikable protagonist. She's very likable. She's just also a bad person. does stupid and selfish things, and then bad things happen to her. There is some music that tries very hard to be edgy, but overall is weak and not very memorable. Hipsters love this movie. Yeah, the music is great though. If it's not your thing, that's fine. But a lot of intentionality was poured into that music, into both the orchestration and the lyrics. So, Elena says, "Fuck this movie. If you try to talk about this movie to me, I will kick you in the chest like a ornery horse." Is that how you handle an ornery horse? How many ornery horses have you kicked lately, Elena? Anyway, I will not be talking about Hedwig to you. I have enough trouble talking about my interests to people who I know want to listen. JMouser123 says, "I hate this fucking movie, fucking fight me." No thank you. Lucy says, "It was good and then it was bad, I hate twinks." True, that's the real reason Hedwig transitioned. I think that this is actually a good one. August says, "I appreciate that it's trying and the music is very good, but ultimately, while it puts on the impression of having an understanding of trans reality, it is still a very cis story." That is a good point. John Cameron Mitchell has since come out as non-binary, and to me, Hedwig and the Angry Inch is a very non-binary story, but at the time, it presented as kind of all gender queering, and a lot of people refer to Hedwig as a binary trans character. John Cameron Mitchell himself, he still uses he/him pronouns, has said that he pictures Hedwig living as a non-binary professor at some college, probably. So I think that its gender transgressiveness is very interesting, some of it in ways that probably weren't intentional. Like I said, I'm not sure that Michael Pitt's Tommynosis was supposed to be an egg, but he seems like one, and so does Yitzhak. I think that a big part of the story is that it's not a trans-binary story, at least not for Hedwig. She thinks that it has to be, but it doesn't. And she learns that. Fucking takes her long enough, though. Jess X Marie and PH on Broadway was better, as in Neil Patrick Harris. Hard disagree, thank you. This is a good one to end on. Rhonda says, "I honestly don't like musicals, but at least it didn't make me want to gouge my eyes out." Great! I'm really glad. Okay, the Muppet Movie. The Muppet Movie, no joke, gave me hope about being able to be an artist and a good person at the same time. Don't look too far into that. The thing is that actually the Muppet Movie is not my favorite Muppet movie. My favorite Muppet movie is Muppet Treasure Island, closely followed by Muppet A Christmas Carol, which topped in the overall category in my 157 slide presentation, ranking every single aspect of all of the Christmas carols that I've seen. But the Muppet Movie is up there. I really like the Muppet Movie. Those are like my holy trinity. Once again, I love puppets. Puppets are good in any movie, especially if they're treated as fellow actors. Let's take a look-see. Jakob Hans says, "Recently my twin brother decided to share with me this movie. He says it's one of his favorites, which has led me to conclude that he must be mentally no older than the age of 7. Jakob, where has your whimsy gone? Has your view of the world grayed already?" Nuka Fanta says, "Good until I saw the Nerd Muppet." Scooter? He's not a nerd. He's a gopher. Barth says, "The Muppets suck and are stupid." Wrong. Thank you for playing. Blindy3 says, 1 star because I felt that rainbow connection, but otherwise. And once again, I'm really glad that you got something out of the movie, even if it was just the song Rainbow Connection, because it's incredible. It's so good. Breakfast Man, hello, says, "I have only seen The Muppets Christmas Carol and the movie at California Adventure, so I don't have much attachment to the Muppets." Fair enough. "Some of the songs are fun, but it is mostly meh, and a lot of the humor just doesn't click with me, that whole Steve Martin scene." I love the Steve Martin scene. I think it's so funny. Specifically the gag of Steve Martin just looking at the only frog in a whole restaurant and saying, "Are you Kermit the Frog?" No, my mom and I quote, "Do you want to sniff the bottle cap?" at each other all the time. Okay, I gotta stop because there's not that many bad reviews of this movie, so we're getting into it now, but the last one I'll read is Minkleton says, "Kermit rides a bike." My dad still freaks out over that scene, and the Muppet Movie came out in 1979. I have told him how they did it, and I think that he still thinks that it was magic. As a treat, I'm going to be ending this with an actually bad movie. Frankenhooker from 1990, directed by Frank Henenlotter. Yeah, this is not a good movie. I doubt I will be able to refute any of these reviews. I don't know how people get disappointed in this movie, though. Like, everything you need to know about it is right there in the title. Actually, to refute my own statement just now, there are some things in it that actually might surprise you. For example, this movie, despite being called
Frankenhooker?
is kind of pretty pro-sex worker. Frank Henenlotter's movies are always in bad taste of some kind, basically every kind usually, but they're always also weirdly sympathetic to sex workers, even if most of them in this movie do blow up because of supercrack. I'm not joking, that's a real plot point in this movie. No worries, they become a unified, merged being to kill their pimp. This is feminist literature, as far as I'm concerned. Let's see if people agree. Right out the gate, I'm thrilled. Right out the gate, Geek of the Week says, I really don't know what I was expecting. I don't know either. You watched Frankenhooker and you sure got a Frankenhooker. Mirandy says the last 20 minutes were good, but I'm mad about everything else. Honestly, fair. The last 20 minutes are good. You gotta sit alone with the, world's most irritating Boston nerd for a while, though. Gexfan 1995 says, holy shit, get the fuck away from me. Okay, I'm keeping my distance. Inari says, should have blown up more men and eaten more pretzels. Also, whoever said this was a feminist film must have been on something. That was me, and I'm actually not going to reveal the medications I'm on right now. Bluefire03 says, this movie was straight ass, do not recommend. I think it's straight ass and I do recommend it. Imagine creating supercrack to kill for parts, insanity. The movie ends with man-made horror beyond my comprehension. I can comprehend it easily. Girl blob. Whoever told me this movie is good lied to me. I wasn't expecting greatness with this movie, but wow, I was not aware I was watching straight up garbage. The comedy in this was unsavable. The practical effects were good though. Agreed. Thank you, Bluefire. Jay says, it's so inspiring they let you make movies this bad. I know you were probably joking, Jay, but unironically, I agree. I think the problem is that people think, like, all the people who enjoy Frankenhooker enjoy it ironically, and I'm sure that a lot of people do, but, like, I don't enjoy bad movies ironically. I enjoy them unironically, I just also know that they're bad. Okay. KN310376 says, did not mean to end my Halloween watches with a Henenlotter double feature between Basket Case and this. Regrets! Without a doubt, some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Yeah? Michaela says, me when I overdose on crack and blow up like fireworks. I'm sorry, Michaela. I hope that they have the best kings, horses, and men on that. Wishing you a speedy recovery, Michaela. Stay away from the super crack. Izzy Humer says, I'm so glad Mary Shelley would never have had the opportunity to see this genuine monstrosity. People say this about any, like, even vaguely Frankenstein-related thing, by the way. People always say, like, oh, Mary Shelley would hate this. Probably. I think that it would take her a while to understand movies in the first place, and, like, the filmic language, so she probably wouldn't like it. I actually think this might be the perfect one to end on. I've never been so turned on and disturbed in my life, says Marco. Thank you, Marco. I swear to God, I was just about to... Thank you. Well, now that I've immersed myself in others' misery for your entertainment, I'll be going now. Let me know if you want to see me do this again. Like I said, I really enjoyed doing it. I don't know if you could tell, but I was having a great time this whole time. But yeah, stay safe out there, and I will check you later. They're coming after me, guys.